Hi, welcome to Crabs, Goats and Goats. My name's Anthony Wilson. Today I'm going to be talking about the full moon in Libra. Tomorrow, as I record, Sunday the 28th of March 2021. Looking at that, especially in terms of Venus conjunct the Sun, opposite the moon as well. And also looking today at the sign of Aries in general, Aries season, and musical figures born with the Sun in Aries. This one I love. Some really nice themes in there, Aryan themes around musical Sun in Aries characters. So please stay with me for that, and let's start off by looking at the chart for tomorrow here in Barcelona for the full moon. 8 days or so we've been in Aries season, which has moved us from the quite dreamy and introspective Venus Neptune in Pisces energy that we had in late February, and now and early March, and now we're more into Aries season, where people are being more direct, they're being more assertive about what they want and what they need, because Venus is in Aries. So particularly fire signs will have benefited from this energy, if perhaps making them a bit too ramped up with the world being in the situation that it's in right now, because there's not too much party energy going on, there's not too much outgoing possibilities at the moment, so this Aries energy may not be sitting too comfortably with some fire signs, but at the same time it may have given people who respond to this fire energy when it transits more confidence, and more optimism, which is a theme of Aries really, that it looks forward, it doesn't look back, it doesn't waste time worrying about what happened, it's concerned about what's going to happen next, which, as the first sign of the zodiac, it's the primal sign, it's the sign where you initiate something and make something happen, and you don't say excuse me, and you don't apologize for that. So Venus conjuncting the Sun right now is making this full moon specifically about relationship, and that we're not talking about love relationship here especially, although it applies to that too, but the way that we act in relationship to other people, because Libra, the full moon being in Libra is about sharing, it's about cooperation, it's about diplomacy and understanding the other point of view to understand where you stand, and it's the sign that's opposite Aries for a reason, because Aries sometimes forgets to worry about what the other person wants or needs, but this full moon brings this into perspective in relationship, because it's also opposite the sign of Venus, the moon. And Venus is Libra, Libra is ruled by Venus. So we have Venus in a Mars sign of Aries opposite the moon in Libra, which is a curious mixture of Martian and Venusian energy. And in this situation, it can cause not necessarily disagreements or arguments, although this could be a case at this full moon. It also asks us to understand compromise and sharing and knowing when to give and when to take, and who we are sharing with, and what that, in a sense, that deal means, because Aries and Libra are signs about making deals, and if you know anybody in business with these signs, they're very, very strong on they enjoy this, the fun of the deal, and this applies not just in business but in any situation in life where we have to negotiate or share, compromise with other people for what we want. So this full moon is very much bringing in to perspective these issues. So that's the first thing to say about it. The other interesting thing here is Mercury is approaching Neptune in Pisces, which there's still a Piscean vibe around at the moment. I'm trying to explain what I mean by that, but there's inspirational and tuning in energy to the collective and to the universe, which is Neptune, and Mercury is the mind, which is thinking and logic, and Mercury in Pisces likes to just drift a bit, not focus on small details, but rather just like tune in. And conjunct Neptune, this is even more the case. So this is still around us, and for the next day or two, I mean, for the next, well, from this full moon, another day or two after that, that Neptune Mercury energy is quite strong. So it's quite inspirational time at the moment. It's good time artistically right now, I think. New projects, artistic projects. If you have, if your chart is ignited by this Aries, Venus Aries energy, that could be quite a strong time for that. However, of course, Venus is in a Mars ruled sign, and actually the sort of softer elements of Venus are hard to find when Venus is in Aries. It's more of a go-getter kind of energy. So that's the first thing to say about this full moon. Overall, I mean, personally, my full moon, I was born with a full moon Cancer Capricorn, and this one squares my full moon. It's not one I like particularly, so I'm looking forward to it going. But it's difficult to see transits at the moment that are hugely challenging. But of course, that depends on your natal chart and where things lie, because obviously Saturn is still causing a certain amount of issues in Aquarius, asking a lot of questions to a lot of people, and this is so far this year we haven't seen, as some people said, we haven't seen a great deal of change from last year in terms of the collective energy. However, I feel somewhat more positive, but let's look now at Aries season in general. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, so it is a sign associated with going first and being impulsive, a bit impatient, without any fear, just going forward and trying to do something as if it was the first time. And this enthusiastic kind of childlike energy that's very attractive about Aries when it's at its best. It's like this person that doesn't understand the meaning of the word no. So it has audacity and a pioneering spirit, and it's not a sign known for its subtlety. It's not a sign known for its kind of understanding. So it depends, of course. It doesn't mean if you have the sun in Aries, or you know someone who's born in April, that they're necessarily like that. It depends on the whole chart. It depends what other planetary placements they have in their chart. And of course, Aries is next to Pisces. It's the sign that follows Pisces. And if you have the sun in Aries, you could have Mercury and Venus in Pisces, and this is quite a different way of expressing itself to the kind of Aries self-motivated style. So it doesn't mean that just because somebody has a sun in Aries they're like that, but there is with all people with the sun in Aries I've met, there is this kind of single-minded purposeness about them, very much concentrated on what they're going to do, and kind of know where they're going, if once they've decided they want to do something. And it's not a sign without its compassion. I mean, the Aries, when it has a cause, it gets into a cause, and if that cause is helping other people, it really, really goes for it. So it's not that they're purely selfish, but it can act in a selfish way as a sign, and it can be very much only not really understanding other people's kind of where they are, or what it's like. Well, they don't really understand it unless it personally relates to them, and this is the downside of the sign. It can be insensitive to its surroundings. Its words sometimes Mercury in Aries can be very direct to the point of upsetting other people. And of course, Mars rules Aries, and Mars is about being competitive. And being competitive takes many forms. It's not just about sports or business. People are competitive in ways sometimes they don't even understand. And Aries wants to win. Scorpio and Aries are the two signs in the zodiac that really don't take losing very well. So this is the downside, and also it can start things and not finish. I mean, again, this depends. It might have, being next to Taurus as well, it may, if you have other signs that are better at this in your chart, it doesn't mean that every Aries is like this, but staying power is not something Aries can always get going. But that first idea, that launch of what they're going to do is strong, which is, they get up in the morning with energy to do stuff, which it's a fantastic thing to have. So as a sign, it's cardinal, it's fire. There's a kind of boss energy about it, although often Aries is better self-employed, working alone, than actually being part of a group. But there's this kind of, if they are a boss, they're kind of like motivational driver of the people that are working for them. They also they invest all that energy not just in what they do, but also in other people. If they have that, they kind of give a big boost. If an Aries loves you, then you really feel that. They're not going to hold back. It's like a strong energy. So yeah, it's probably got a bit of a bad rep as a sign in terms of, but that's because a lot of Aries people go about what they do and they do it well, as much as the trouble they cause while they're doing it. They don't really care what other people think of that, or often don't, which is something a lot of other people are envious of, I think. I certainly am. When I see Aries energy, because it's just not there in my chart. I do have a Sun-Mars conjunction, but and my Mars is in Sagittarius, which is a fire sign. But apart from that, I don't really have that. Have a lot of caution with a Cancer Capricorn combination of Sun, Moon, Ascendant, and sometimes when I see Aries people, I'm off. I wish I had that. I wish I had that much fearlessness. So that's a quick look at the sign of Aries, and now I'm going to look at artists, especially musicians, singers born under the sign of Aries, meaning their sun is in Aries, and I like to restrict it to that just to make it interesting, because I do think there are themes that emerge with one particular sign. So I'm going to look at that now. Okay, so last month I looked at Pisces and saw in Pisces that Pisces has a kind of neo-soul vibe with Erykah Badu, Jenny Aiko. Like the music has this sort of like their music has this very Piscean vibe about it, and then Aries has quite an impressive list of 60s classic soul singers: Diana Ross, Aretha Franklin, Marvin Gaye, and Al Green, all born with the sun in Aries. And there's something very raw about 60s soul, that Aries energy of just putting it out there, and you're receiving this, really these voices that are very, very from the soul, but kind of energy, like the energy of an Aretha Franklin song, or a Diana Ross song. Also, Elton John has that in his music. I'm a bit of a secret fan of not all of Elton John's stuff, but quite a few things. I think he's a little bit underrated in a weird way as a sort of musical great, because I think people think of him as kind of cheesy. Actually, there's quite a few really important singers born under the sign of Aries. Chaka Khan, Luther Vandross, Bessie Smith, Teddy Pendergrass, who was the lead singer in Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes in the 70s. Tracy Chapman, Norah Jones. There's something very raw about all these artists that they just went forward with what they did, with this strong Aries energy. So, I mean, if you think of Marvin Gaye, you know, this is somebody who left Motown. Well, he didn't leave Motown, but he left. He didn't want to do things. Eventually, he wanted to do his own stuff. He couldn't be in this kind of Motown box after a while. He had to try and create his own thing, go his own way. Also born under this sign, Q-Tip, legend, rapper. Herbie Hancock, absolute legend in terms of the influence he's had on modern dance music as well as jazz. You've got Jacques Brel and Serge Gainsbourg, like iconic in the French language music scene, and the very strong characters. You know, this is what you're getting with all these Aries artists, is this kind of very strong, single-minded character. Dusty Springfield, also Sun in Aries. Fergie and Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga, I remember the performance she did at the Super Bowl a few years ago, and she has Venus in Aries, I think, as well, and it was such an Aries performance. I've never seen. It was really fitting for the Super Bowl to be jumping around all these, you know, it's kind of gymnastic performance in bringing the Aries energy to that event. So, Killer Mike as well. And this is somebody going. Killer Mike has done a lot outside of just being a great rapper with Run the Jewels. He's also, you know, socially very aware, creating more awareness, puts a lot of energy into that. As I said before, Aries isn't just about themselves, you know, at its best it's a fighter for everyone. Pharrell Williams, trailblazer in his production work in the early days, absolutely. And of course that infectious song Happy, that is, you know, there's again very Aries kind of energy of like, it just brought you up off your seat, optimistic. So yeah, Jorge Ben, Brazilian legend, who's probably my favorite Brazilian artist out of all the Brazilian artists that I listen to. I think Jorge Ben, I think he is incredible actually, and a huge catalogue of work. Right, so that's a look at Aries season in terms of music. I'm gonna finish there for today. Happy full moon. Remember that full moons are there to show us something. They're there for us to understand what really is happening. That's the real, for me, that's the real purpose of a full moon. I was born on a full moon, so I feel them more strongly. This one particularly strongly because it kind of sits crossing my Capricorn Cancer full moon. It's not my favorite, but it can be very helpful in terms of learning where you stand. So thank you very much as ever for joining me, and I'll be doing another one. I'm not going to stop in a couple of weeks because I have fun when I do this. So Take care and see you soon.